Okay, Ms. Mathis, I have 6 o'clock here. How about you?
I do, yes, sir.
All right. Then I will call to order the Richland County Administration and Finance Committee for April 27th, 2021. If you would please call the roll.
Sure. Malinowski,
Here.
McBride. McBride,
Here.
Joe Walker,
Here.
Overture Walker. Overture Walker. Mackey,
Here.
we have a quorum.
Okay, the first item of business on the agenda, number 2, approval of the minutes for the March 23rd regular session.
Mr. Chair, I move for approval.
Okay,
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Mathis, if you'll take the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Overture Walker. Overture Walker. Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, item number 3, approval of the agenda. Administrator Brown, are there any additions, deletions, or changes, please?
Yes, sir. Thank you for the opportunity. We would request that item 4A be removed from the agenda, Mr. Chair.
Okay. Anything else from anyone? If not, then I'll ask for approval of the agenda as amended with the removal of item 4A.
Move to approve as amended.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none. Ms. Mathis?
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Overture Walker. Overture Walker. Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, the next item of business is item 4B under items for action. Department of Animal Care, Animal Services Division, intergovernmental agreement with the town of Arcadia Lakes. Administrator Brown.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. I do have the department director on the line, but I did want to say this matter is an expired agreement. We are simply asking to renew this agreement. It does not require any additional action. It was a function of asking county department to look at any agreements that we had in place, trying to get a year ahead of time so we could understand what agreements we would have come up for renewal, and at least get those to the body 6 months in advance. In going through that process, the department director came across this agreement which had expired and brought it to our attention. So we are asking for the committee to approve this renewal with the town of Arcadia Lakes for this intergovernmental agreement with animal services.
Okay, any discussion from anyone?
Yes, sir.
Ms. McBride?
Just for clarification on this particular agreement, is this the type of agreement we have with other municipalities for animal control, such as, City of Columbia, Forest Acres? Is this the same agreement in terms of no cost?
Administrator Brown?
I'm going to have Director Haynes to address that in terms of the other agreements that may be in existence. Because I see her on showing her name there, Mr. Chair. Ms. McBride, I'll answer for you. I don't have that right now. I'll have to see what other agreements we have with other jurisdictions related to animal services.
Yeah, I was just wondering about there being no cost for this particular one, and I don't know whether that's the way we handle animal services or not.
I see Attorney McLean had her hand up. If you'd go ahead, please.
It looks like Ms. Haynes is unmuted now. She might have an answer, but to
Okay,
the best of my knowledge, that's how we handle all of it. But yes,
Okay.
go ahead.
Go ahead, Ms. Haynes.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Thank you. We have other agreements with Town of Forest Acres, Irmo, Town of Blythewood, and Town of Eastover. They are all handled the same way, with the exception of Forest Acres. we don't provide full service to Forest Acres. We provide limited service to them. But in the others, we provide the same type and level of services that we provide to the citizens of Richland County
And at no cost
at no cost.
because of taxes already paid.
Yes. ma'am.
Well, I don't know why the no cost is.
Okay, that was my
Mhm.
only question. Thank you.
Well, since you did mention, Ms. McBride, about the cost, on the last page of the agreement, it says the taxes generated by such assessment and levy shall be designated as an offset to the cost of providing these services. So that would lead me to believe that the full costs are not covered. Could someone answer that?
Yeah, I saw that, Mr. Malinowski.
Yeah. Anybody? Maybe we got anybody from finance again? Maybe we can get that answer by the time this gets to
Sure.
council.
Yes, sir. I'll look into it. Have to get that
Okay.
addressed, Mr.
A
Malinowski.
couple other things, and that they would be for legal and maybe just technicalities that I was looking at. And in the very first sentence of the agreement under recitals, where it says that the previous agreement dated November 5th, 1979 for animal care services within the town, and the town desires to continue utilizing the services. The fact that we have that an agreement was dated November 5th, 1979, it seems to me that we should also put that expired 1/13/15, because it's been over 6 years since this has expired. And therefore, having that information in there, it's not a continuation, but I would say the town desires to again utilize the services of Richland County. Legal, would you want to weigh in on that?
I sure can, although I'll get with Ms. Haynes to make sure it is accurate, whatever it is, when that expired and that those dates are correct.
Okay, that's fine. The other question I had was over under number 2, page 23 of our agenda, where it says that the town shall not repeal their ordinance section that prohibits pigs, cows, horses, goats, sheep, chickens, hogs. Yet they've adopted a Richland County one. Well, if they are prohibiting those types of animals within the town, but our ordinance does not prohibit such things, I'm guessing that means if there's a complaint, somebody has to go out and pick up these particular animals. Do we have a place to keep these kind of animals if we're picking them up? Or is this an additional cost? Do we have people trained with picking these kinds of animals up?
Mr. Malinowski, that could be an additional cost. It just depends on if we had to pick them up, but because they are prohibited, we have not had to pick any of them up in the town of Arcadia Lake so far.
Okay, yeah, thank you, Ms. Haynes. I would just make a recommendation that in the event, for language to be added, that in the event additional costs are incurred in doing what's above and beyond the Richland County ordinance, it would be a separate cost, so that we have that in there. And I would also recommend on the last page where the signatures go, that we put a date line in there as well. If there's no additional conversation or comments,
Mr. Chair,
yes, Ms. McBride.
you said again, utilize the services, but they are already utilizing them, maybe something else regarding the contract, because a memorandum of agreement.
Well, I said that based on the fact that our information said this agreement expired. It remained in effect until January 13th of 2015.
Yeah, but we continue to provide the services. That's what I was saying.
Maybe we did.
If I may, if I may speak, it expired, but we did renew it in 2015. It actually expired in 2019.
Okay, but we could just, I guess, get some clarification on all that and make sure that we're covered legally. Thank you, Ms.
Okay.
McBride. Okay, hearing no further conversation, I would entertain a motion on number 4B, Department of Animal Care matter.
Mr.
Move to
Chair,
approve.
I believe Councilwoman Teresa has her hand raised.
I see it now. Thank you, Mr. Walker. I've got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second,
Okay, motion and a second. Mr. Ratio.
Thank you. And this may seem just a little bit odd, but when it comes to, prohibiting, I guess, chickens, I believe there's been a little bit of a movement toward, people wanting to keep some chickens. And, I don't know if maybe that should be looked at. Is that a Richland County, part of Richland County's, I guess, animal ordinance that they are not allowed, or just in the towns? Can you clarify that for me?
Well, that is just for the town of Arcadia Lakes. They are allowed in Richland County.
Okay, so and that is, I guess, motivated by the request from the town of Arcadia Lakes. Is that their preference?
That's correct.
Okay. Thank you for helping me out there. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ratio. All right, we do have a motion and a second on this matter. If there's no further discussion, Ms. Mathis?
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey.
yes,
We have a quorum. I'm sorry. Motion passes.
Thank you, Ms. Mathis. Administrator Brown, item number 4C, Department of Public Works, Solid Waste and Recycling Division, award of a contract for landfill gas control system.
Yes, sir. I have both procurement on the line as well as the department. I'm going to have them address you with that item, Mr. Chair.
Okay. If there's any questions on this one?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Ms. McBride.
Probably a little clarification in terms of the location of the landfill, of where the landfill is. And I read somewhere that every 2 years it's supposed to be changed. I'm not sure whether we're working on this particular landfill to provide the treatment, or it's another landfill, or exactly what. So if I could get a little bit better background on that.
Yes, Ms. McBride, I'm going to have the Director Maloney, Public Works Director, to address that.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Director Maloney here. This is on North Monticello Road, about 5 miles north of the city, north of Highway 20. And this is the county C&D landfill.
Mr. Chair, can I? ask a
Sure,
question?
go ahead, Ms. McBride.
So in this is the only landfill that we have.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so we're not going to ever move this landfill. We just continue to monitor it and provide treatment as needed.
Yes, ma'am. The other landfill, of course, is a contract landfill from the last fall's contract we approved with Waste Management, and that is theirs, and we wouldn't be doing this kind of work on their landfill. And so, yeah, this has many years of life in it, and new caps projected for the future.
Okay, on page 26, I think that's item C, maybe the second sentence, it says, number 1, provide for construction and operation of such facilities as necessary for not longer than 2 years. Unless, and that's where my confusion, unless renewed.
Yes, ma'am, that is the permit period. I read that too, and I found that kind of an interesting way of putting that you have to get a new permit every year or every 2 years.
So that's not in terms of anything being dangerous, it's just for permit purposes, you're telling me?
Yes, ma'am. And we've been working with DHEC and they do the permitting and regulation. And we've been working with them on this project, which is agreed upon to start this summer. So they're fully aware.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And Ms. McBride, and I'm glad you asked that question because that's what I had underlined also, the 2 years. So that answers that. On the second page here, though, Director Maloney, it states that the installation and operation of the gas control system will allow Richland County to maintain compliance. Based on that, I'm led to believe we are in compliance at the current time.
Yes, sir. As long as we build this per our agreement with them on our permit, then we maintain compliance.
Okay, because then down toward the end, it says the installation of this system will alleviate a significant portion of VOC contamination. I guess you can't alleviate it all, but I didn't want to wind up paying for this particular system and find out that a year or 2 years from now, somebody's going to say, now you need a new system or a different system. You don't see that being the case here?
Correct, sir. And that's part of the timing of this project, and that, from inception of seeing rising methane to actually having a executed plan and bidding, some 5 years later, it took a lot of testing to find the source and to design a system that would remove as much VOC and methane as possible.
Okay, thank you, sir. I don't see any other hands. Are there any other comments? If not, Ms. Mathis, if you would, well, I need a motion first.
So move, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion and a second to move forward with, it would be the recommendation, staff's recommendation on page 20 of our agenda. Is that correct?
Yes.
No, not page 20.
25.
Yeah, that's the animal care, page 25, correct. Okay. Motion and a second. Ms. Mathis,
Malinowski,
yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Del Walker,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, thank you. The next item is 4D, Department of Public Works Engineering Division's DTC funding request for intersection improvements at Hobart and Farrow Roads. Administrator Brown.
I'm going to ask Public Works to come back and address this, Mr. Malinowski. This is a CTC related item. I know there have been previous questions related to CTC items that come before this body, but I would have the department take your questions on the request for approval of this item.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, sir. We have County Engineer Staley here.
Yes, sir. This is Stephen Staley here. This request stems from a long problem that we've had out at Hobart Road, crossing a substandard rail crossing there on Norfolk Southern. In the body of the briefing document, I talked about all the background and how there was a fatality back in 2008 at this substandard crossing. So we have plans. We're about to get our permit to straighten that crossing out and make it a standard crossing with lights and arms and everything that goes along with a standard crossing. But when we do that, it's going to cause a lot more traffic to go down and come out off of at the Hobart Road, Farrow Road intersection, which was planned for a long time ago when Ralph Pearson was here as the engineer. They planned this Hobart Road to be a cut-through road to relieve some of the traffic from the north, the Clemson Road, Reimer Pond area. So when we had the traffic study done, it further emphasized the need for some improvements. And so that's where this request stems from.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Staley. Any other comments or questions from anyone? Mr. Ratio.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I believe this was the same item that came up through Development and Services, the similar, same railroad crossing. Is that correct?
No, ma'am. I think that was Walt MacArthur. We were actually closing a crossing in Dutch off of Dutch Fork Road.
That's right. Okay, great. I was getting this mixed up. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. Staley, is the county having to do anything with the railroad crossing?
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. We're realigning and making a straight through crossing now. No curves. Right as it presently sits out there, it's a dirt road crossing that was really never permitted, but just kind of evolved into a crossing. So we're Department of Public Works, so we'll be hiring a contractor to straighten that out and make a standard rail crossing.
Okay, I guess where I'm going with this is the information in the agenda says after the crossing, the road transitions ownership to Richland County. Therefore, why wouldn't SCDOT take care of everything to and including the crossing, and then we would only pick it up after that?
Yeah, that's some maps we have show the maintenance area, the DOT maintenance area stopping short of the rail crossing, and which we believe, since me talking to our maintenance folks here, that is the case. So really, it's not the center line of the rail; it's on the DOT side is where they stop. So really, the rail crossing itself would be the counties.
Okay, and this company that we have listed here showing us these potential costs, Kimley Horn, I don't see anything on here that tells me where they're from.
Yes, so they're out of.
Go ahead.
Yes, sir. They're out of Columbia.
Okay, and how were they selected?
We went through the standard RFQ process, request for qualifications, and our standard way of procuring engineering services.
Okay, and is there any reason that this information we have is over a year old? On page 35 of our agenda under the Kimley Horn costs, it shows the date of January 15th, 2020. Are those still going to be valid?
Yeah, I think we can get them to update it. But this project has been coming, it's taken a long time to get to this point, especially when with the COVID, the traffic counts went way down. So we weren't able to actually do the official traffic study until we got some guidance from the DOT, which took a while. But we finally got the guidance how to address that, and we moved forward with it. I don't expect the cost to be much different than what's there.
Okay, and these are CTC funds. So down below on the notes where it says no right-of-way acquisitions, no stream impact mitigations included, and labor and materials, if those should come into play, they'll still be covered by CTC?
Yes, sir. We would go back to the CTC, and they've been good about that in the past to reallocate some more funds to our ongoing projects.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Staley. I have nothing further. Anyone else? There's no additional comments or conversation. I would entertain a motion on this item.
So move.
Okay, I have a
Second.
motion and a second. Okay, no further discussion. Ms. Mathis?
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
yes,
motion passes.
Thank you. The next item for action is number 4E, Department of Public Works Engineering Division, DHEC Grant Administration for Springwood Lake Community. Administrator Brown.
Yes, sir. Again, I'm going to have the Public Works Department come back, but this particular item was brought to us kind of as a continuation item, originally presented and brought before former council member Kennedy, and then upon taking office was brought to Council Member Barron in District 7. So this is an item associated with an ongoing matter, and I'm going to have the department address that, please, Public Works.
Okay. Mr. Maloney, go ahead.
Yep. Yes, sir. Thank you. This matter is related to the 2015 flood and has currently 2 roads closed in the subdivision. And it was presented to us just within the last few months that there would be a DHEC grant available that came through that correspondence in the letter that's attached. And so we see the county's position in this to help administer this grant, help see this project through. In the end, this project will be for SCDOT roads and private drainage basins. So we see the scope of $500,000, which is the grant amount, covering the cost to replace the 2 culvert crossings. So our part in administering this grant would be to see that we stay within the 500,000 for the 2 roads for pipe installation and backfill, and just the preparation in order to turn it over to SCDOT, who will then finish the roads with base course and asphalt and curb and gutter. We had a public meeting with Ms. Barron and Stephen Staley and DOT also present. And we see this as a partnership with the neighborhood, with SCDOT, and just helping facilitate this grant through to finish. There was a date and a mention from the attorney on the date being that this ends on June 30th. And I had direct conversation with the DHEC representative indicated on the letter. And he said that that's just the date we need to get the information to them, you know, the specifics on what the scope of the project are, what our goals are. And I put an attachment to this briefing document that you have that indicates those items. And that would go to DHEC and they would cut the county check to administer. Then when the project's completed, our other duty would be to, you know, describe the project completion and that we met our goals.
Okay, thank you, Director Maloney. I don't see anyone's hand up right now. Okay, Ms. McBride.
Yeah. Now, this is the result of the 2015 flood. So since 2015, those roads have been closed. Is that correct?
Director Maloney?
Yes, ma'am, those roads have been closed.
Okay, and they are state roads. So this was a state responsibility to fix those roads, but they did not do it until now. They're looking at doing it. Is that correct?
The dams were in many cases, they either received a grant like this or the homeowners association had to come up with the funding to restore the dams.
Okay, so the county did not have anything to do with those roads not being repaired or anything.
That is correct, ma'am. Not now and not in the future.
All right, that's what my point. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
That's what I want clarification on.
Okay, Mr. Overture Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening to you, Director Maloney. Just a quick question. Correct me if I'm wrong, but from my reading of this, it appears that this is not going to cost the county anything. It's a $500,000 grant. Those funds will be used for the repairs, and then ultimately, maintenance and as well as operation of these roads will remain with DOT. So it's really costing us nothing.
Just staff time, sir. Just administer the grant.
Okay. So the administration of the grant, did there are costs associated with that for the county?
We would do that internally, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Overture Walker. My only concern on this, Director Maloney, and actually this may be an answer to get from Administrator Brown. On page 41 of our agenda, number 2, it says upon receipt and review of the summary funds, budget, and financial statements, DHEC will transmit the funds to the recipient by check delivered to, and says Gretchen Barron, District 7. I have never in my entire career with the county encountered where a council person receives funds. I would think it would go to the finance department.
Yes, sir. We'll have that corrected on the letter as well as the date, but that we understand will be to finance.
Not that I don't trust Ms. Barron, but it's just something that seems a little bit awkward to me. Okay, thank you, sir. I
Yes, sir,
don't
Mr.
see any
Malinowski.
other-
If I could just simply
Administrator.
say, sir, I think that was just a function of them reaching out to the member and nothing more than that. I don't, so we can get that corrected. sir.
Yeah, I just don't want the public later on saying, well, Ms. Barron got $500,000. Okay, Ms. Barron, go ahead.
You know I couldn't leave that alone.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, although I welcome $500,000, just not from the county or the state.
There you go. I think we're all in agreement with you on that one. Attorney
Absolutely. sir.
McLean? You're muted or we don't hear you. Now you're muted. Now, Ms. McLean, you're muted now.
All right, so mute, unmute, I don't know, I'll just yap, how about that?
Okay.
I did note on this document, the briefing document, that there were some items that I have problems with. One being the date is all wrong. I mean, this agreement doesn't really say what they want us to do in any kind of clear format. So I'd like to make a few changes, nothing just to make it say what they really want us to do. Because right now it's got a 2-month time frame or a few month time frame or something, but that doesn't really coincide with what I think we're actually supposed to do. And Ms. Barron, yes, that was one of my comments. Although I like Ms. Barron a lot, I'm not sure the check should go to her. And there were a few other things. So when you take the vote, if you could do it just conditionally to let me work with Public Works and DHEC to just kind of narrow down some of those points, but that'd be great.
Okay. Fine with me. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I would entertain a motion on this.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve contingent upon review by county legal staff and the approval thereof.
Okay,
Second.
we have a motion and a second to approve with the fact that county legal staff actually review it and come back with the necessary corrections that they feel should be in this particular contract. Ms. Mathis?
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Joe Walker,
Yes.
Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes with contingency.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Ms. Mathis. Next item for action is 4F, request from the chief magistrate regarding a Pontiac Magistrate building lease. And that can be found on pages 45 through 70, of which I have several of those pages written down for questions. I guess, let's see, the chief magistrate, I saw him here before. There he is. Chief Edmond, do you care to comment on this one?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and Honorable Counsel. Tom Edmond, Chief Administrative Judge for the summary courts, and I also have my Associate Chief on the line, the Honorable Daniel Cole. Mr. Chair, this building is pretty much over 30 years of age. This is a magistrate building that we're trying to basically get into another lease, a facility that's pretty much just over 10 years old. This would be a significant upgrade. We've had several problems with this facility over the years, flooding. We also had situations where we literally had to close the office down, security reasons. And we've been in this facility for over 30 years prior to me even becoming a magistrate. And it's time for us to move from this facility. When we talked last year about this facility, and Mr. Malinowski, Mr. Chair, I'm not sure you're familiar, they was trying to renew our lease for this facility, but this facility is old, and now we're having problems with rats and infestation of roaches. It is a health concern, safety concern, and we're respectfully asking the council to approve this new lease. We're currently paying $2,500 for an old lease that's over 25 years old. Now, this other facility is a $4,050, and it's significant upgrade. And again, it's just over 10 years old, and we respectfully ask for approval of this lease. And I'm welcome to answer any questions from the Honorable Council.
I've got one quick question here now to start. You said 20 years old. I thought when you started, you said the new building's 10 years old.
The new building is 10 years old, but the old building is approximately 30 years old. And that's a correction. I might have misspoke.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Okay, Mr. Ratio. Mr. Ratio,
Sorry, Mr. Chair, thank you. I'm at home and there's things happening.
We don't want to know all that.
Listen, earlier today, the cat brought in a bird. And so there's no telling what could happen here on Zoom.
Better call Ms. Haynes.
I was just going to ask the Chief Magistrate, are you currently in the building, the old building that is, could you, yeah,
Yes.
That's my question.
We're currently operating in the old building right now. And
Okay.
Yes, we are. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you mentioned roach problems and some flooding problems. And could you just repeat one more time some of the other issues that you found?
We've had some rodent issues that we had to exterminate, as well as some insects, roaches, and also some molding issues that we've had to tackle. And with having a possibility, if approved by council, there's a facility that we've located, identified, that's really just right around the corner, less than a mile, and they can outfit the building really in about a month, but they're just waiting on approval of the lease so they can start the process.
Well, I'm all for decent work environments, so thank you for sharing that. And then just to be in my due diligence, the building that you're currently in now, are there any structural concerns, or is it mostly just these other types of concerns?
It's a very old business park. Yes, there's some structural concerns, ADA concerns, and it's just something that I've been working with the current judge, the Honorable Keila Thomas, on this process, and it's just not a good situation. I think some risk management concerns. We've had some citizens that I've had some concerns of. The carpet is old. I mean, everything in that facility. I'll be glad for you to tour the facility anytime, make some arrangements. It is not a good representation of Richland County, and we really need to move from this facility. And the citizens deserve so much better. And I've been trying to get them out of this facility for a while. Of course, COVID stopped the process as well, but I really look forward to getting them out of this building if the Honorable Council will approve.
Thank you so much. And just as a follow-up, when you mentioned ADA and other kinds of requirements, have we had issues with citizens having access to the building or having trouble getting in and out or anything like that?
We've had some, we've had some challenges with regards to the library. Is a very small area, and in regards to court, we've had to have some work done with regards to the doors, with regards to defendants running out of courtroom. Citizens are getting hit by some other citizens. I mean, as far as the defendants running out of courtroom, that causes us to respond with regards to EMS risk management. It's just a facility that I can speak on it, but for you to see it, it will really shock you where we at right now.
I can only imagine. Thank you for sharing that with the public. I really believe it's important for us to kind of get those, kind of paint a picture for the public. So thank you for sharing that.
Thank you.
Yeah, I have, thank you, Mr. Ratio. I have Ms. McBride followed by Ms. Mackey. Ms. McBride?
Thank you. Chief Edmund, how are you doing?
How you doing?
I'm glad you're here because we've been through this together before.
Yes, ma'am.
And I know that the magistrate's offices in Richland County, they were in terrible conditions. And this is one of those. There was a plan at one time to build additional magistrate offices and to move you out of those dilapidated facilities that you're in. Is this on that radar for a new office building?
Yes, ma'am. Right now, we currently have approximately 4 offices that is left that we need to build, and Pontiac is one of them. This is pretty much a quick action to get them out of the facility with a lease. But
so this is this is like a temporary move until we can, because it takes a while to get into another facility.
Yes, ma'am. I have a plan. I have a plan to do a design build for all the offices, and it's going to be in the report. Thank you.
Okay. The current building, I think I'm looking at my paper, it says it's $3,500 a month. Is that what you're currently paying?
And I apologize for that. The correction is $2,500 a month.
Okay, I just want to make that correction. And so how long would is the other building ready for you to move in now? How long would it take you to move from this one to the new one if we approve?
In talking to the contractor and the builder, it would take approximately a month.
A month, okay.
Yes, ma'am.
I understand because staff have to work in areas like that. Not only do staff have to work in facilities like that, our citizens, our constituents have to visit those places. And I would encourage council members, if they have not, to visit, and you would not have any question in terms of what your decision would be regarding this. So I thank you for bringing this to us, Chief.
Thank you.
Judge Evans.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, Ms. Mackey.
Thank you. I guess I had questions on page 46, where there's additional comments from Director Pruitt. Have you been in communication, I guess, with the owner of this building? Are you able to make any changes to the lease based off these concerns that he brought up about what the county can and can't do with leased facilities?
Yes, Ms. Mackey, I have. And also, I've talked to him actually maybe an hour before I got onto this meeting. He is open to revise this lease as requested from Director Pruitt, and he is very open. He said that is not an issue.
Okay. That was my only question, Mr. Mackey.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mackey. Mr. Overture Walker.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good evening to you, Chief Judge Edmund. Hope you're well.
Yes, sir.
And I think I just have more of a comment than a question. I've been a practicing attorney here in Richland County for going on 16 years, and I've practiced in state court throughout that entire time. And I've been going to Pontiac Magistrates Court now again for 16 years. And, I wasn't aware of these issues. But what I can tell you is that going into that courtroom, it's very small. There's not much space. And, Pontiac Magistrate, it services a pretty wide swath of the county. I think this is Councilwoman Mackey's district. So it's a significant chunk of that Northeast area, which is growing. I think that a change in location is long overdue for the Pontiac Magistrate. At some point, I guess we're going to entertain as far as a permanent location for the Pontiac Magisterial District. But certainly, I think that the folks that work for the county deserve better working conditions. And I also believe that the citizens of Richland County, the folk who have to go to whose tax dollars pay for that courtroom, I believe they deserve better as well. And so I'm hoping that we can this body can do something to provide, the men and women, who work in that office, Judge Edmond, the relief that they need, as well as working towards a permanent solution. And so again, I thank you for your service, and just know that certainly, I appreciate you, sharing this, giving us this briefing tonight, but also know that I'm very much well aware that, that facility, just based on size and capacity, you guys have had to make do for a very long time. So.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, I've got a question for Attorney McLean. In our briefing document, it says the attorney-client privileged information would be provided under separate cover. If it did come, I sure didn't see it.
Ms. Myers sent that out,
Okay.
and I had plenty of comments on the lease. So
Okay.
Good evening,
And-
members of the committee. Mr. Malinowski, may I be recognized?
Sure. Go ahead, Ms. Myers.
That information was emailed to the clerk's office to be provided to council. I don't know if she sent that under an email or not.
Ms. Mathis, can you just give me the date? Now I have to go back and look.
Okay, can I look that up and give it back to you in a minute?
Yeah, I don't need it now. I just want to see whatever it is
Okay.
eventually here. Also, and Administrator Brown, I think this one would be for you, and that is, does Richland County, I thought we had some type of a, I guess, regulations or a process to follow when a county group is wanting to rent property. Is there something like that in place?
Not familiar with when someone wants to rent property. This will be the first time that's come up, Mr. Malinowski. So I certainly could follow up with that, but I don't have an answer to that concerning rental property. I know about somebody wants to acquire property from us, for us to buy property, but not
Right.
rent property.
Okay. Judge Edmond, you indicated here in the very beginning, you're going from 2,500 a month to 4,050 per month initially, and then it'll go up again later. And you indicated that the new rent would be covered from the magistrate operating budget. Will that continue to be covered in future years, or are we going to see next year you're going to ask for more money to cover this rent?
No, sir. If we're going to cover that on our operational budget, and also Pontiac Magistrate will also be one facilities for our design build that we're currently working on, and we're currently identifying 2 properties to try to acquire for Pontiac for design build. So this is just a temporary fix for our 3-year lease.
Okay, do we have a potential date for this design build to begin?
No, sir. No, sir, because it's a process to purchase the property.
Right.
I had another manager's office that was turnkey, and with the process of purchasing the property, we lost the property for likes. So it's a process. So we're working on it.
Okay, something else that you indicated, and you even stated it in your comments, that the building would need to be modified. It would be nice to know what kind of a cost we're talking about for this modification.
The modification is structured in the lease. So with regards to identifying the building, the actual landlord will modify the property, and that is tied in with the difference in the lease. So it'll be taken care of through the increase. We pay $2,500 for a property that's over 30 years. He's gonna ask $4,050 and include the modification costs in the price of the lease. So that's included in this 3-year plan.
Okay, and also you indicated in here an exhibit B-1. I did not see any B1. I saw an A and a B. Or is that dash now supposed to be there? But it's listed twice, and one of the times it's boldened, and that's under letter B, under Article 4, Section 4.1B, tenants work. And it says there's drawings attached here too as exhibit B1.
Take a look. Beg your indulgence for a second. So now I think that might be a typo on that because I have exhibit A and B. But I know exhibit A is with regard to parking. That there are additional parking we're working on, but it might be a typo, Mr. Malinowski.
Okay, and under section 5.2, where it talks about tenants' general liability insurance. Now, I don't know what type of a facility this is. Is it in a strip mall or a separate standing building?
It's in a strip mall, sir.
Okay, so I don't understand then why we as the tenant or you as the tenant under your liability insurance would have to insure the driveways, parking areas, and other common areas. People could be going somewhere else in this building, have a mishap, and turn around and say, well, let's just sue the county. They got money, they're the government. I didn't care for that language in there, and maybe that's something Ms. McLean would address in her comments in reviewing this. Also, the part about section 5.7, insurance subrogation. It talks about the landlord being able to collect everything, and the tenant waives any rights of recovery against the landlord for injury or loss due to hazards covered by insurance. Well, if there is a loss to the county, I would think the insurance should pay the county whatever loss they have, and we just don't arbitrarily sign it away with this type of a lease. And then it also says in section 5.8, entry and inspection. In addition to the foregoing, the last line, in addition to the foregoing, landlord shall have the right of ingress and egress of the premises for any general purpose. It doesn't say that they have to make an appointment or that somebody from your office has to be there. You just referred to security in the beginning about this, your current location. I would think this would be a huge security question, somebody just walking in there whenever they want to. I think that would be something that also needs to be addressed differently. These are just my opinions, but maybe someone else would see it also. Under section 7.2, landlord's remedies. If the tenant commits an act of default hereunder, the landlord at any time thereafter, prior to the curing of such act of default, and it goes on to give what the remedies are. But I didn't see anywhere in there a time frame to cure the default. I think we need to have that, and it says that those are landlord's remedies. But I don't recall seeing anything about tenants' remedies if the landlord is in default. I believe that's another thing that needs addressing. And then in section 8.7, in the first few words, offset statements, tenant agrees from time to time. Exactly what does time to time mean? That could be January 1st and then December 31st. I'd like to know exactly what they mean by that, other than some other typos. And on the last page where the signatures go, I again believe that we need to have dates put in there, a line for dates. In the information you did send us about the water damage, of course, the only pictures we have are in the bathroom. Could have had a toilet overflow there for all I know, and that could be the only water damage. I don't know. We don't see anything else. In the letter that we got, it talked about elevated readings in the break room, in the bathroom. But elevated readings of what? Mouse feces or something? I mean, it doesn't say. They maybe know what they're talking about. I certainly don't. So, and then it says, due to the structure in that letter from ServPro, due to the structure being a commercial building, and asbestos tests would be needed to be performed according to DHEC guidelines. If it's 30 years old, maybe that would be the reason. I did not know how old it was until you told us that now. So, Ms. McLean, Attorney McLean, all those comments I made, are some of these the things that that others have mentioned that we need to address in a lease?
Some of it, yes, sir. Some of it's I'll take a look at, and everything related to insurance and the subrogation, risk management risk manager, Brittany Terry would have commented on that, and those should have been included in the copy that was sent to all of you as well, from the clerk's office. So part of that would have been in there. So.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Stacy Ham, you have your hand raised.
Yes, I just wanted to clarify that the rent is actually $3,500 a month. It went up in March of 2020. So it was $2,500, but we're actually paying $3,500 a month for the rent currently.
Okay.
So,
Is this something that you feel, Ms. McLean, needs to be addressed, all these legal comments that are here and brought back to the committee for review? I don't know how detailed or technical it is, because I guess you'll address the comments from Randy Pruitt also.
I think we can go forward without coming back to committee. Most of my comments are going to be along the lines of, we can't indemnify and hold harmless, and things. They didn't include invitees in a lot of the things they talked about. Well, that'd be anybody that the court brings in that comes there to do work there or to, be in court. So we need to make some changes like that, but I don't think it's anything substantive that the committee would want to see.
Okay, and you'll work in coordination with Director Pruitt on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, and I mean, Ms. McBride, I'm in agreement with you and Mr. Overture Walker on the citizens need a safe place to go. I just want to make sure, as in the past, when we do this, that we do it all according to Hoyle, so to speak.
Mhm.
So I also see Ms. McBride's hand up now. Ms. McBride, you're on mute if you can hear me.
She may be struggling to unmute herself.
I'm sorry.
There you go.
Okay. I move for approval for the new lease at Pontiac Magistrate contingent on the review of legal and
Second.
Okay, you've got a motion and a second for approval contingent upon legal review. There is no other discussion. Ms. Mathis.
Yes, and I'd also like to mention, Ms. Only stated that the information that you were looking for was in her clerk's report, so that was sent out directly from her.
Okay.
So I will call the roll. Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
yes.
Joe Walker. Joe Walker. Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey.
Yes.
Motion passes with contingency.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Mathis. The last item on our agenda, items for action, is 4G. Request from the chief magistrate regarding a bond court consolidation. Judge Edmond, wasn't this one previously before us at the last council session?
Yes, sir. Tom Evans, Chief Administrative Judge. Yes, it was last year. And there were some questions that need to be asked and information. And we're back with the committee with regards to this consolidation.
Could we get a copy of those minutes, Ms. Mathis, from all the conversation that took place relating to this matter previously? Because I can't speak for the other council members, but I know I myself had several questions, and I know that Judge Edmond answered them. I believe he answered most of them, if not all. And I'd like to be able to review that rather than ask the same questions and belabor the point. And we're kind of 2 minutes away or less from the ending time for this meeting as it is.
So again, you're requesting minutes from all of the meetings regarding this issue in past meetings.
Yes, unless Judge Edmond has them all, he can forward them to you and you can get them out.
I'm sure we can accommodate.
Okay. Any other questions? I would just offer to keep this in committee to the next time so we can get all the details on it, because we're certainly not going to do it in the 1 minute remaining.
I concur, Mr. Chair.
Okay. With that, we've got one item down there under item 5A, which is an item pending analysis, no action required. You can read it in the blue. It gives us a status update. And other than that, I would entertain a motion for adjournment and would keep this. I would like, Ms. Mathis, since this item is here before us today, make sure this item is placed as number 1 on the next agenda. So we discuss it first.
Yes,
I
sir.
think that's only fair.
So move.
I've got a motion for adjournment.
So move.
Do I hear a second? Well, I'll second it then. Okay. I got a motion and a second. Ms. Mathis, if you'll call for the vote, please.
Malinowski,
Yes.
McBride,
Yes.
Joe Walker. Joe Walker. Overture Walker,
Yes.
Mackey,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you, everyone. Enjoyed it.
Mr. Chair, you miss me when I'm gone.
Oh, yeah. You are right. I was all concerned about it when you weren't there in the beginning.
I know y'all are upset because y'all don't have a 7 o'clock zoning meeting.
Yeah, right.
I'm sorry about that. I
All
upset
right.
you like that.
Well,
A
thank you,
zoning
everyone.
meeting.
We'll talk to you next week.
Yeah, I thought the zoning meeting was rescheduled,
That's
correct?
what I said. I said I'm sorry to upset you that
Oh.
you're not having it.
I was about to say, you're gonna be by yourself.
You guys
I'll
are
vote
too-
yes for all of them.
All right. See you
All
guys.
right, goodbye.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.